Hi, Rod. Thanks for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you well, thank you for the interview. Um, I'm 32 years old and I'm passionate about space exploration. Um, Yesterday, I found a project, my first project. I started my first project related to space exploration 8 years ago. Unfortunately, it failed, and Um, since that time, I got quite a lot of experience. For the last 4 years, I've been working as a systems engineer in a space robotics startup. And a few weeks ago, I started my own project. And in general, everything that I'm doing right now is related to lunar exploration.
That sounds awesome. Do you remember what got you interested in space?
Uh, when I was a student, I was like a mommy boy, so I was unconfident in myself. I had no idea what should I do, what can I do in life. And then um, I participated in the first startup, and that startup showed me that actually I can do everything that I want. And I started to look for an idea, for a goal that is really interesting. And after a lot of thoughts, I came to the idea that I really passionate about lunar exploration because um, it's really an interesting goal. It will take me the whole of my life to achieve this goal, and it's fun. I mean, I have to learn, I like to learn, and when you work on a space project, you have to constantly learn. You have to learn uh, the greatest available technology at this point in time. So in general, it's just a nice idea to work on. I believe it's a really good way to spend your life working on a space project.
So, I mean, it sounds really awesome about creating robotic lunar missions. I think a lot of people understand like the scientific aspects of it. You know, you have like a governmental entity or an educational entity that wants to go and do research and sends it. But I think, people are having trouble seeing like maybe the commercial uses of it. And I was wondering if you had some thoughts along those lines about where you see sort of things actually tipping over from being more research and exploration to actually being some type of commercial industrialization type of thing.
It's complicated, and I believe at this point in time, it's really hard to find a direct an idea that can create value directly from lunar exploration. But during the creation of the tools to explore the moon, you have to create a lot of technologies, a lot of tools, and that what gives direct benefit to the whole humanity. You need a lot of scientists to create a lot of technologies. It means a lot of new jobs will be created. So space exploration is, well, it just pushes the economy forward. And of course, it's quite hard right now to get direct benefits. But as I've said, a lot of technologies that we use today were created for space, like, for example, GPS, like a lot of things. It's really hard to name it. So in general, I believe that space exploration is a really nice goal. I believe that any person on Earth can work on space exploration because there are a lot of things that needs to be done. It's not only about science. You need people, for example, who support your office. So it's for everyone. Everyone is needed, and frankly speaking, everyone is equally important in terms of space exploration. So to summarize, I believe that lunar exploration gives a lot of benefits to humanity because it gives a goal to humans to live, like to research. It's really amazing. And it provides us with a lot of technology, with the knowledge that could give direct benefits, like, for example, GPS. It's really hard to say what will emerge because, humanity works on new technologies, but I can say for sure that a lot of amazing things and a lot of amazing technologies that will change our life, our daily life, and that will make our daily life much better than we have right now will emerge from space exploration and particularly from lunar exploration.
Yeah, it's funny, GPS, just thinking about the development of GPS, how it went from having ground stations to try to figure out where the satellites were, to flipping the problem around to having satellites to tell ground stations where they were.
Exactly, and I have to say, in my smartphone, I'm using most of the time, I'm using only three functions. I'm using messengers to communicate with people. I'm using flashlight because it's cool to have a flashlight in your pocket. And I'm using GPS a lot because like I like to travel and it's really amazing. It saves a lot of time. You just can use your smartphone to find where you are and just find the way where you need to go. So that's amazing.
And in a lot of cities, you could use it also to pay for the subway once you figure out where to go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, so since you're into lunar exploration, you must have learned about our plans to go back to the moon pretty much as soon as they happened.
Yeah. Well, have you heard about Google Lunar X Prize?
I have.
So when I was like a young student, I've heard about that project, and it really ignites my passion. Maybe not ignited my passion, but it really helped. It showed me that it's possible to do space projects like not on a government basis, but on a commercial, on even open source basis. Like a lot of teams all over the world, like even astrobotics, as far as I remember, they emerged from Google Lunar X Prize. And in terms of NASA Artemis project, it's amazing. I hope it will happen, and I hope that it will happen as soon as it possible. So do not know what to say. I like I'm a huge fan of space exploration, and I support any attempt just to get a new piece of information about space around us, about the universe around us.
And it's kind of interesting. Society invests its interest and money and people and resources in things that interest and excites it. I mean, if you just look at like the amount of resources that are put into sports as an example, our entertainment, our and it seems to me that if we have a society really valued exploration, got a lot of enjoyment out of it, then that would be like the key to really opening up both the universe outside of Earth, as well as all the wonders and things that are right down here. And I was wondering what you thought about that.
Um, I completely agree with each of your words. Like from even right now, there are a lot of people who enjoy space exploration. Millions of people like to watch SpaceX videos, how they send rockets. And I like sports, it's amazing, but I do not like professional sports because frankly speaking, it's not so good for your health, like being a professional, I don't know, football player. But in general, sports is great. And I really believe that you are completely right in terms of I think people let's say people could and should start enjoying space exploration and invest their time and attention into things that could benefit everyone on the Earth rather than just, sports. I don't like, for example, football. I'm talking about European football, not soccer. Like 22 millionaires play on the field with the ball like a small child. They have a huge salary, but they produce nothing but fun for people. I think it's not so correct. It's not so good. Like hmm, that's my opinion. Do not know what to add.
But the thing about sports is it's a lot more accessible to the common person, right? I
No,
mean, it's not.
sorry, sorry for interrupting you. But nowadays it's not the case. There are hundreds of space startups all over the world. Um, is it okay if I tell a few words about my project? Because it's
Absolutely. I I want to find out as much about you as you're willing to tell me.
um, like a few weeks ago, I started a project. It's called Lunko, And I started, basically the idea is to have one application where you store information about all simulations that you have. I mean, sorry, I need to adjust my pitch. I want to make an application. I'm making an application that could be used to plan any space mission, including, for example, lunar colony. Um, the main idea, when you're planning a space mission, you have a lot of models like thermal model, structural model, and so on. And I'm making a software where all the models could be incorporated into one application in easier to navigate and understand form. And this application is intended for professionals. But the fun fact is that I'm also making a game on that engine, because from a certain perspective, modern games, they're really complex simulations. So with the modern tools, any person on Earth can start doing something for space. Like NASA has open source a lot of projects, like, for example, JMET, where you can try to find the best trajectory for a satellite. And I hope that my project, it's like a Kerbal from a certain perspective, but I hope that my project will help a lot of people to understand that space is not so easy. And I hope that this project will teach a lot of new engineers and show that it's not so hard. It's not, playing, for example, Minecraft and understanding all the logic, all that craft tree. It's as hard as understanding how to design a spacecraft from a certain perspective, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And wow, that sounds interesting. I'm really interested in finding out more about your project. Do you plan to do it open source, or is it all like commercial?
It's a completely open source project. A week ago, we have released version 0.3. So you already can download it. You can download source code. You can download binary files for Windows and for Mac, and you can try to play it. At this point in time, it's just the core of the system. Like there is a player who can walk on the moon surface. There is a rocket. You can fly the rocket. You can create new buildings and so on. In any case, it's an open source project. You can download it now. And I hope that this project, one of the goals of the project is to create a database of existing components, of existing trajectories, and store it in one place. And any person on Earth can help space exploration just by, preparing some content for Lunco. Maybe it sounds a bit too complicated, but it's not so hard on practice. It's like, creating a mod, for example, for a Kerbal Space program. A lot of people all over the world do that and they enjoy it. But in Lunco, they can create they can design real missions, and these missions could be shared among all the players all over the world. Maybe it's a bit too complicated.
No, I think it sounds good. So what kind of language did you write it in?
I'm using Godot engine. It's like an open source competitor to Unity and Unreal Engine. It's quite advanced, but completely open source game engine released under MIT license. And in Godot, they have created their own language that is super similar to Python, that is called Godot script. So I'm using Godot script. For a skilled software developer, it'll take maybe a few days to start programming on Godot. It's really easy. And if you know Python, it takes no time to start programming on Godot.
So what's the best way to find it? Is it just the GitHub link on your Twitter account?
We have a landing page. I've just sent it to chat, but basically you can type lunco.space, lunar colony.space. So Lunco comes from lunar colony, first letters of lunar and colony.
Okay.
We have a landing page. We have created YouTube video and a lot of content explaining of what we are doing will be created in the next few weeks. But even now you can download, you can check a video, and maybe you can add a link to Lunka. Oh, it's up
Absolutely.
to you.
No,
How
no,
you
100%. I am 100% supportive of your project. So,
right
in
now I'm
fact,
in Thailand, and I'm get used, to show my appreciation like common gap using sorry.
no worries. My wife is Indian and her parents live with us. So we're constantly namaste around here. And then I've been to Japan several times, so I'm familiar with the bowing. So,
I've
uh,
been to Japan once. It's amazing place. And I have to say, it's really similar to Thailand in a lot of sense. Like, you definitely understand that you're in Asia in both
um,
cases.
but this is really a wonderful thing. I would love to see. I mean, hopefully it's not too distracting for me and I could do other work today.
Yeah, I hope so.
um, because I could just see spending a lot of time playing it and exploring it. So,
That's
so
one of
how
the
did?
things that I like about, sorry.
Oh, sorry. How did you get started with it? Like, how long have you been working on this project?
Just, well, I was thinking of that project like for 8 years. And yesterday I found information. I registered the first site for that project 8 years ago, but at the time I was too young. I had not enough experience to start such a project. And like a month and a half, an important thing happened. I was managing a device that was integrated on a lunar lander that that will be sent to the moon under NASA CLPS program. Right now I cannot tell details, sorry, but I hope by the end of this year I'll be able to point to the moon and say like, hey guys, there is a device that I managed to manufacture. And after that, I realized that I'm experienced enough to start my own project. So I started it like a month and a half ago, but I already have a team who works on the project. I was able to create a lot of code. Actually, Lunko is created according to space standards. And right now, in the prototype, you can see like a simple game that is a bit similar to GTA, but the thing that actually matters is what under the hood. There are certain space standards like XTCE that describes remote systems, in general architecture of a remote system and things like that. So to be short, I just the design of Lunko is designed to be compliant with space standards, and it's really easy to integrate Lunko, to integrate, for example, telemetry from a remote robot into Lunko. So sorry, I started it not so long time ago, but it took me a lot of time to think of the project, and now I'm moving like really fast because I know what to do.
So, do you have a large group of like community developers helping you out with Lumco?
I have my friends from space who helps me, but they are not, they just tell me, hey, you have to go to that guy, or they help me with communications or things like that. And there are two guys. The project is open source right now, and two guys decided to help me. And well, two random person from the internet are helping right now. They help to develop landing page. They committed to they've made a few commits to the game engine, and actually we have created, sorry, let me send you a link to the GitHub, and they helped me to create a repository that we call a cheat sheet of a space jargon. Basically, this repository contains a lot of useful terms from space, from space professionals. So two random people helps me. I have a bunch of friends who helps me, like maybe two friends really help a lot, maybe not full time, but they spend a lot of time. something like that, and a lot of people interested in the project.
Yeah, no, it looks really awesome. So I guess where do you see humanity heading in say 200 years? What do you think it'll look like?
It's really hard to say. There are several scenarios. Like positive scenario is that humanity will unite. There will be no governments. There will be only one government that makes everyone happier and that governs the earth in a decentralized way. So all the borders will be removed and humanity will unite, and together we will explore and colonize the solar system. Like that's an optimistic scenario, and personally I hope that this scenario will come alive. And I hope that I will be able to make it maybe a bit, but increase the probability of such a scenario to happen. And of course, everything can go wrong. We can go into the third world war, of course, nuclear war. In that case, maybe humans will be I don't know, will be flashed out from Earth, but life will still continue, I believe. In any case, even if a third world war, nuclear war happens, in any case, life will find a way to continue. And maybe in that case, in a couple of millions of years, a new intelligent species will appear. Hopefully they won't make that mistake. But again, I hope that we will choose the first scenario. Let's unite and let's together colonize the solar system, because it makes no sense to fight with each other. We have so many things that could be done in space, like literally less than 1,000 people were in space at that point in time. I don't know, but it's nothing compared to 7 billion people living here. I think that billions of people must live in space, and I hope that in 200 years, millions of people will live in space.
So do you think it's realistic to expect in like 200 years to have settlements on the moon and Mars?
It's realistic to have like 20 years, I believe, 20, maybe 50 years, but at least I'm not sure about Mars. Personally, I'm focused on the moon. And in terms of moon, I can say that 20, 30, 50 years and we'll have settlements. We have all the technologies exist right now. In general, of course, we have to to adapt them, to maybe develop some technologies, but in general, with enough funding, about maybe a couple, maybe 20, 30, I think $50 billion, it's possible to build a base on the moon, a habitable, maybe not permanent, but habitable base on the moon.
And I feel like a development of like Starship, if SpaceX is successful with that, will be a complete game changer in terms of our access to space and to the moon, and the ability to actually have commercially viable space companies. I was wondering, do you view that as being like the key transformation that enables all of this?
It's a complicated question. It's important. I mean, it's really important part of the whole transformation, but a lot of important things happen at that time. As far as I know, around more than 10 companies developing technologies to fly to the moon. In general, people mostly talk about SpaceX, maybe Blue Origin and a bit ULA, but they forgot about hundreds of companies all over the world, small startups led by one person, maybe five, with a small teams of 5, maybe 10 people. They make a lot of things, and these startups, that's a game changer as well. With modern technologies, it's quite easy even to manufacture a satellite in your, I don't know, in your garage, in your basement. So to summarize, for sure, reusability that was a game changer, a huge game changer. It's inspired a lot of new companies, like, for example, Blue Origin, maybe not inspired, but Blue Origin does that. And a lot of companies all over the world are working on reusable rockets. Starship will be a game changer as well. But we should not forget about other things that happening right now. And I believe that democratization of space that started to happen maybe 10 years ago with the new technologies, with, I don't know, you can buy a quite nice CNC machine for 5K. It's super cheap and it's a really advanced CNC machine. And in your garage, you can build a satellite, you can build a robot which can explore the moon. That's a game changer as well. And we just have to keep, I believe we should inspire people. We should tell people that they can do it using their own hands in their garages. And it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we could get like kids and adults feeling like they can actually make stuff and develop stuff, and
Yeah.
it could change a lot.
Yeah, so from my perspective, you just said it's really important. I believe that shift in minds, that's a game changer, and that's what must happen.
Absolutely. How do you think we do that?
Personally, I decided to make a simulator that, and I'm selling that Space Mission Planner as a game. So for kids, it's like a game, it's fun and so on, but it's really a professional tool. And I believe in general, such an approach should be used. So we just have to make it fun, to make it interesting. It's just education, a lot of, for example, hackathons, a lot of activities like NASA Space Apps Challenge, things like that. So just promotion, marketing, promotion, PR, all that boring business stuff that actually is really important as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can make some of these hackathons just as much a spectator event as a sporting event. You know, which team is going to be
Oh,
able to make it, and kind of create the interest around it.
one guy once, I do not remember who said that, but he suggested to make a battle of robots on the moon, like, you know, a sport, something like that maybe work as well. And yeah, you're completely right. I like your idea. Like, it should be promoted like a huge sport event, something like that.
And people have their favorite teams, and will they make it to the playoffs? And they wear
Exactly.
like their T-shirts, and they're like going around.
Personally, I really love hackathons, and like for a long period of time, I participated in so many hackathons that I didn't buy T-shirts. I just had enough from hackathons.
I know.
It was really convenient.
I wish they gave away pants. That would make you have a full set then.
Yeah.
But if you could, would you take a trip to space?
Yes, of course.
How far would you go?
It depends on my age. Like at 80s, I'd like to go. Well, when I'll be 80, I'd like to fly as far as it possible. Right now, personally, I want to have a tourist trip to a lunar surface. So for me, like, I'm focused on the moon, and I really want to go there.
Now, you say it depends upon your age.
Yeah, right now I want to go to the moon, and when I'll be older, it'll be okay to go to Mars, to Jupiter, anywhere. But for now, I want to come back. Later, it won't be an issue.
There's a lot of developments in health and longevity and making people live longer and feeling younger. So what if you could be 100 and feel like you're 30?
I think I'll be really happy. And I think I'll find something interesting to do, like Jupiter moons, like Venus, like Mars terraformation. There are so many things that must be done. You'll never get bored if you're working on a space exploration.
That's true. I mean, astronomers, they can't even see every star, and they look all the time.
Yeah, One of my friend once told me that space projects are not only about inter-country collaboration, but about um, generation collaboration. So, for example, Voyager project was started by one generation, and right now, I don't know, maybe 10 generation of engineers, maybe not 10, 5 or 10 generations of engineers changed,
Yeah,
and still the project is going.
you talk about the importance of documentation and knowledge transfer.
Oh, that's my personal. Uh, you've just hit. I don't know how to say. No, actually, mostly it's about knowledge transfer and about documentation. Before my project, I had another project that is called yet another requirements management tool, and basically it's about documentation. And from that project, the loan appeared because it's really hard to sell like a system that will help you to keep track of all your documentation, to have a single source of truth and so on for a wide audience. It will be like a rocket science. And that's why I decided to make documentation tracking tool in a fancy and fun form, in the form of a game.
I, yeah, it also make it very accessible. It's like a low, how you say, low cost or low commitment, and then you get hooked, and then you kind of go in all the way type of thing.
Yeah, and then you go deeper and deeper. And once, I hope once you understand that, oh, guys, I do not need that. I just need a huge document that contains a lot of requirements. But sorry, it's really a personal pain. As a systems engineer, like I think maybe 80 or 90% of my time I'm spending working on documentation.
No, it's true. I think it even was. I remember a scene in Star Trek where like Scotty's talking about having to update his manuals or something. So it's like even in the future we'll have to worry about documentation. Um,
Uh,
so I wanted to turn around the 200-year question and look at it from the opposite standpoint. So imagine you or one of your descendants immigrates to Mars, and it's 200 years in the future, and it's your great 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 granddaughter is on Mars in high school doing a history paper on the 2020s. So she's 200 years in the future looking back at you now. What do you hope happens in this decade that is worth remembering in 200 years?
it's really a good question. Uh, can I mention several things, or it should be just one thing?
No, anything you could think of.
I think people will remember how Web3 appeared, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and things like that. I'm a huge fan of decentralized ledgers. I'm not talking about speculative value like buying Bitcoin for investment. I'm talking about using cryptocurrencies as their medium of exchange. So I believe it will make a huge effect on the humanity, and I hope that it will help to remove the borders and to unite all the people. Definitely, the situation with Ukraine, I mean, war between Russia and Ukraine, I hope people will remember it as the last war on Earth, at least among developed countries. But it's really crazy what's going on there. Artemis mission, and I don't know. A lot of things. It's really hard to say for me right now, because we are just at the beginning of the 20s, and I believe a lot of things will happen. Like you mentioned, longevity. Maybe people will find a new treatment, a new way to treat people think I personally I hope that only good things related to science and exploration will be remembered, but of course things like war must be remembered as well.
I
And
know.
dictatorship, I hope that like people will remember about dictators, and everywhere in the world people will understand what it means to have a dictator, and the people will find a way to fight with the dictators.
But people's memory and impressions change over time. When the dictator is there in person oppressing the people are like, oh, it's so bad. But then later on, people are like, oh, they got things done, and that's the way to do things. And it's like people's memories change.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's a difficult thing. But well, Rod, thank you so much for your time. I'm definitely going to check out your projects, and you have my full support. So
Thank you so much. Have a good day. I don't know what to say. I'm really happy for an opportunity. Thank you so much for asking me for an interview.
well, thank you too. Yeah, the sun just came up right in my face right here. So it's just the opposite of what's happening on your side of the world.
It's night, unfortunately.
Well, you have a good night, and let's stay in touch.
Okay, thank you. Let's stay in touch. Bye bye.
Bye bye.